Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Lojak. He's Mike Brenner. This is the Odds Couple Sports Betting Show for Monday, August 29th. We've got three interesting segments, Mike Brenner. The first thing we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look back at Week 3 from the preseason.
Of course,
the dress rehearsal. We saw a lot of on-field
revealed.
time. Yes, from the starters, presumptive starters, and
injuries.
Injuries. So there's a lot actually that I think is useful looking ahead. You don't want to read too much into it, but I do think you want to read a little bit into it. Let's just go back and forth. The first thing that I think is interesting, I guess let's just start with the Chicago Bears offense stalled out, right?
Yeah.
Now, their offensive line is dealing with injuries, so, hopefully, presumably they'll be healthier by the regular season, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that we expect them to continue to struggle when Week 1 rolls around?
I don't think so, and I had wrote some notes down,
Yeah.
Pete, and I think it's probably, I think we needed to do this segment because there's a lot of angles for betting that could be. All right, here's a team that right now they had problems on the field. All right, they literally almost had not a riot, but they had a brawl. All right, it led into the locker room as far as verbally. They've not recovered from that, and this coach, and I like John Fox, but he doesn't have that team. He's lost that locker room, and when players don't believe in each other, Pete, that makes for a hell of a long season. This is one team that I really thought might overachieve this year and really, make a run with that receiving core. They should, but I don't know. I'm questioning it now. I really am. I think there's some big gaps to be filled.
So then you don't think it's going to be fixed by Week 1?
I don't think it is. I think even into maybe week 2 and 3, and I think this might predicate what's going to happen for the season, Pete.
Yeah,
because Cutler just is not the guy to grab that team and say, let's get over this shit. He's not that guy.
I am kind of a believer in John Fox in general, but maybe if he doesn't have enough to work with, there's nothing you can do.
Exactly, because his record's been nothing but a proven success.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's hear your first notable thoughts from Week 3.
Okay.
Preseason.
Well, here we go. There's one team that I think is and you've been you've been on this. You've had a good eye. Oakland Raiders. I think with that starting unit, I think that's definitely, they might be not unstoppable, but they're going to be hard to contain. Yeah. They really are, and they believe in themselves. They believe in each other. They're very healthy. And what my hat's off to Del Rio offensively and letting his coordinator dictate the time because he's had no major injuries and nicks and bruises. That adds up. But the question mark, and he's scratching his head because he's a defensive expert. He said our defense has some holes I didn't anticipate, so we got some work to do in Week 4. So, that's one big thing I took.
Amari Cooper had a bit of an injury last year, and so far in preseason this year, he's looking 100%, looking great. And of course, Derek Carr is looking like every bit the leader and the elite NFL quarterback that people were expecting him to be. So I think maybe expectations Oakland will live up to or exceed expectations, at least in the early going. Then let's move on. The second team that I want to discuss, is the other team with high expectations, which is Jacksonville. Yeah. And with them, it's a little bit of a different story, right? The offensive line getting bulldozed. I mean, they were playing against Atkins and
very well said, bulldozed.
But some problems there. Some problems there. Concerns appearing, at least from what we saw in Week 3 preseason for the Jags, right?
Absolutely, and you nailed it on the head. That line got bulldozed. Yeah. And I read a quote from Blake Bortles. He said, hey, I got to feel 100% protected when my back's turned. And he said, I'm not at that point right now. Hey, that tells you something. And they have so much potential, but I think that still, Pete, is a work in the making. And I'm not going to be backing them. I'm not going to be fading them. I'm going to take a look at that team really close. Seeing. That's a wait and see for me, big time. Yeah.
All right, because there were some concerns if you watched the game on Week 3. All right, what else would you like to
There's one that's Houston, we got a problem. And I'm not talking about the Houston Texans. I'm talking about Arizona Cardinals because Carson Palmer, I got a feeling this is the year that the decline really shows. I don't see him finishing this year as a starter, be it because of poor performance or of injury. Now, there was something he did the other night, and I watched it, and when he exited the field, him and Arians were just chewing at each other, going at it. So already you got strife with the head coach who just got out of the damn hospital, and Palmer's trying to give him more issues. So I don't know. It's not all his fault, but his age is catching up to him, Pete. And I'm telling you, I think that team's going to be a little overvalued, especially on the offensive end early on until Arians straightens it out. But
maybe on the defensive end, the secondary is looking vulnerable for that team too, right?
They are.
I mean, Peterson's dinged up a little bit. Honey Badger's dinged up a little bit. I don't know.
And I think their offense is going to put the defense in a position this year early on to where they're on the field too much. So there's one I think you better take a look at. And there's one like that went off for me that I'll be honest with, I was a little surprised. It was Houston Texans. They looked freaking good.
They
looked
now,
good.
Do we think that's going to carry over into the regular season?
Defensively, it will. Defensively,
because I mean, we remember from recent years the Detroit Lions would sweep their preseasons,
and then shit got real.
What do you think about Houston though? They have some explosive guys at receiver, don't they?
They do. They really do. They have potential, and I really think Osweiler's just having a couple good games in preseason, I think, is taking a little of the pressure off. He's no longer in Denver, and he knows that. And I think that team's going to be fun to watch. And if they stay healthy, especially on the defensive end of the ball, and they can just operate that offense to score points similar to the old Ravens, all right, back when Trent Dilfer was there, if they can do something like that, because they got an elite defense, if they can put that together, that team's going to be dangerous. But one of the biggest things on the map is the whole state of New York is screwed this year, buddy. You got the Bills that suck, you got the Giants that suck, and you got the Jets that don't know if they're coming or going.
The Bills,
this is the truth.
You're not sold on Tyrod
Brian,
Taylor?
Not at all.
No?
Not at all. I'm not sold on that head coach either. I'm not. I think this is going to be his last gig in the NFL as far as head coach. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Pete, I'm not sold on this team. I think they might have a really good defense, but I think if buck stops there.
All right, and the Giants' defensive leader, Casillas, has an injured rib. He's going to play through it, but I don't know.
Eli called Peyton and said, help.
I don't know. So you're not high on any of those teams.
No, New York.
Who are you the most down on? Who are you
the most down for sure?
Three?
The Giants. I'm so disappointed because this is a team that, and again, we still haven't started the first game, but I think what really has hit this team hard. You had the same head coach for so many years that pretty much ran like a boot camp type of style. Okay, preseason practices. He did. Tom Coughlin's known for that. He's an ex-Marine. This is the first year this is the first year his impact's being felt. Pete, their shit not getting real over there. They better take a look at some issues, and they better look at the talent they have. Now, Eli Manning's going to step up and take this thing under control, or he might get lost in the shuffle, which we've seen him do years past. He kind of fades away when they need that leader to step up. I'm scratching my head at the whole state of New York. Now, can they fix it? Every one of them, absolutely. This is NFL. They're the best athletes in the world. But do they have great coaches? I don't know. It will remain to be seen. But I wouldn't want to be a New York fan of the Giants, the Jets, or the Bills right now.
All right, and going back to the topic of quarterbacks who aren't getting protection, let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts, right?
Whoa,
they're having offensive line issues.
And you said that early.
And that was something that they tried to improve in the offseason, and so far not looking like it's getting any better at all, and they're dealing with some injuries. That guy LaRaven Clark looks like he's kind of clueless out there, and I don't know. Luck was running for his life in week 3. What do you think? Do you think that they're going to be able to fix those offensive line issues? And if not, are the Colts going to be overvalued in the early weeks of the season?
I think they very much will be. And when Andrew Luck was running for his life in this preseason game, you know what was coming out? He didn't have a mouthpiece in. He was saying, thank God I just signed the biggest contract in the history of the NFL because I think I may end up on my ass again like Tony Romo. Oof. Wow, there's another one, but we'll get into that later. But
one team that tried to make improvements on the offensive line in the offseason and appears, based on week 3, to be successful was the Vikings, right?
Oh, yeah. I got to call it like it is. And again, it's just preseason, but I watched Bridgewater on a couple series, and he looked very good. But guess what?
The same downfield.
Yes, but what continues to worry me for him, not worry me, but bottom line, he's not a big guy, Pete. If he gets hit a couple, 3 or 4 big times, I think it's going to affect him, and it might wear on his body as the season goes. But again, Zimmer, his defense is locked in. But I will say this, I was also a little bit impressed with Sean Hill and the little job he did, the little time he had stepping in. So Minnesota, I think as it goes, wears down, because I don't think AP, who's not getting any reps at all in preseason, I don't think he's going to be ready to kill
but
it.
they got good running production from the other guys.
I know, but it's preseason. It's preseason. Asiana, he's got a lot of expectations, and he should. All right, and he's literally the backup in the wing. So we'll see what happens.
Just the point is that was an offensive line that was where they specifically
and they did strengthen it.
And they did strengthen it. It looks like the results are there. All right, and then how about Jameis Winston? He did play well in week 3. You're still not sold on him?
Not really, but I did. I looked at his stats. I looked at him and Mike Evans.
Nice
That's a good
there.
connection there. Really good connection there. But I'm afraid that this guy, gets a little too comfortable when he does well, as opposed to getting challenged when he does well. Again, I may read this wrong, but this is what I like to dig into, and I still think that team's going to be one that could be overvalued until books catch up with it, and that's. Again,
and then what about the Cleveland Browns? Again, RG3 played well, and they've got weapons now at receiver. They've got multiple weapons, and it's looking like the strongest team offensively that they've had since at least in the 2000s. I mean, in recent memory. Do you think that they're also their defense is looking a little bit chintzy? Maybe we look for overs with the Browns. Maybe we look for their offense to be more productive than expected. What do you think?
I like that breakdown on the overs because their offense, I think, is a little bit overachieving. But the capabilities there because the weapons are there, the tools are in place, and the defense, as you called it, squinchy or whatever you put it at. Yeah, chintzy. Yeah. This is it. Where do you come up with this shit? I love it.
Make up that word.
But years past the dog pound, that was the defense. So Pete, with that defense, really, and they're not deep. They are not deep in the trench. That might be a team to look for some overs, and I would do that probably in the first couple weeks before it gets caught up as
all right.
well.
And then,
good breakdown.
And then let's talk about, just before we wrap up, 2 running backs, Melvin Gordon and Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, did you see that one burst?
Both of them looking good, right? Melvin Gordon looking like his old self, and Ezekiel Elliott looking, ready for the NFL with a power running game.
Can't
both
deny
of them,
it.
right?
Can't deny it.
What do you think?
Did you catch the video of Ezekiel Elliott going into the marijuana store? I mean, and I like the kid. It was an honest mistake. He really was. I think he's going to be fun to watch, and if he stays healthy, that kid's, because I've seen some interviews now, he's not one of those cocky over the edge. He's just a good ball player. I'll tell you right now, Urban Meyer, that was his coach, so he was coached well. I am impressed with him, and definitely the burst I saw of Melvin Gordon on 3 different plays, he had that little jolt that was like boom. So he's healthy, he's feeling it, and before we go, Pete, there's one guy I got to talk about. Landry Jones looked fantastic. Looked fantastic in week 3. 19 out of 22, and he looked confident. And guess what? He better start trying to do that, because I got a feeling Big Ben might go down like a big, big oak tree this year.
Well, we were predicting that for Tony Romo. It happened before the season started.
We did.
We'll get to that in a
Sorry to
second
say
segment.
we were right, but damn it.
All right. So overall, just in general, your thoughts from week 3. What are when you think about it? What's the first 1 or 2 ATS recommendations that jump out at you based on what you saw in week 3?
Okay, I think for sure. All right, and also we didn't mention it. The Dolphins, I think, are going to be a little bit better than people think. Okay, look out for that. But I just think the Cardinals, it sticks out like a stick in the mud. Maybe something on the unders, because I don't think their offense is going to be able to just maintain with other teams. And I think they're overvalued, Pete. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to win that division.
I hear you. And mine, I think, will be fade the Colts.
Okay.
I think that's my first.
And you know what? You've been talking about that early, and
I mean, we know they're going to be vulnerable on defense, and if the offensive line starts breaking down, and it's all on Andrew Luck's, shoulders, and just like you said, the big contract's got to be somewhere.
Got to be.
Yeah, fade the
look
Colts.
for him now. Guess what? When he sees what's in front of him and protecting him, or should I say not protecting him, that guy's not going to go 110%. I wouldn't. I mean, I'm never going to say I don't blame him, but bottom line, Pete, come on.
All right. Sounds good, Mike Brenner.
Breaking it down.
All right, and our second segment of the show today is going to be exclusively on the Tony Romo injury. We just did a whole series of Week 3 takeaways. We didn't even mention Romo once because we're dedicating his own.
And 2 weeks ago, we did a video, and we're talking about how long will it. I think it was you, might even said, "Is there a line out for what week he goes down?" And
we did. What did we? I think I predicted week 8 or something.
I swear to God, I think it was 7.
Happened in the
I think it was 7.
And it happened in the preseason.
Oh, Pete.
So I don't know. So if people jumped on the the Dallas team total under before the injury happened, they got a nice line.
I had a guy told me that now he had the work done. He's got titanium in him. He's built like the $6 million man. You can't hurt him. Well, so, how'd that work out?
I don't know what to think of it now because he's going to be back, right? He's supposed to be out for 6 to 10 weeks, right? So he'll be back maybe around week 8 or so. And then throwing it into the mix is that Dak Prescott has looked great, as has Ezekiel Elliott. So, the odds that I have here, I have some odds. I'm not sure what it is market-wide, but I caught this at 5 dimes.
Okay.
To win the NFC East, they're still the second choice, right behind the Giants at plus 225. To not win the NFC East, it's minus 265. Giants are the second choice, and then the Skins are at about 3-1. And then to win the NFC, they're still tied with the Giants for 6th, I believe, at 15-1. So, the market has reacted, but still giving them, not sending them all the way down the ladder. What do you think? What do you make of all this?
The damn Redskins don't get no loving from their books.
They don't. 3-1.
They don't get any loving.
Even after Romo goes down.
It just blows my mind. Yeah, I think it changes the whole dynamics of that division. And Pete, I think there's one thing, and again, I love to get into the other side of this thing. This Dak Prescott has been nothing but impressive,
Right.
but I saw that in his senior year. This kid was the real deal.
Sure.
From the junior year to senior year until now. But here's the thing, this is the NFL, and not for long is what it stands for, and that might mean results in preseason. Now, had this injury not happened, I think things were clicking along for this kid to really grasp, absorb, be a
Right, to
sponge,
not be in
and
the
learn.
spotlight, right,
Exactly. All of a sudden now, and he's got great, his numbers are fantastic, but now he is thrust into this spotlight. The pressure is now on. You think you're in a pressure cooker in college. Now you're in Jerry Jones territory. All right, you talk about pressure. So will he perform? Yes, but guess what? Some of the best and some of the best are going to be flying at his ass defensively, left and right, early on.
Yeah.
And Ezekiel Elliott too. Let's not forget, these are kids. These are young. I mean, they're young men.
Yes,
all right. Guess what? It's not going to be a happy little time for the Dallas fans. Now, I heard they were this close to thinking about bringing Michael Vick in when I talked at and when we had our meeting earlier, production meeting. They were that close, and then afterwards, I found out they said, "Guess what? Scratch that." So
I'll tell you what I'm thinking. As far as futures are concerned, or win totals, don't really have an opinion. But I'm thinking that early on, because you're right, Prescott was great in the preseason, but they're still going to go in there weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they're going to protect them. They're not going to ask them to do too much, and that's bolstered by Ezekiel Elliott doing great on his own in the preseason. So I'm thinking unders with Dallas for the opening bunch of weeks. Where will the totals be? How long will that last? Not exactly sure. But as far as futures, I don't have a reaction, but I definitely think that maybe unders, at least to start, with Dallas. What do you think about that?
I think that's a very, very good insight there, Pete, because their defense, I don't think if anything, defense is going to just tighten up here and realize now, hey, guess what? We got to do what we did before. We got to throw this on our shoulders. Can they do it? Hell yes. So look for the running game to open it up, but it's just going to take some time. And obviously, if they're leaning on the running game, that's going to be a very good, insight for totals as well. Maybe do some unders. But there's one thing I noticed, and I know it's just preseason, but the Eagles are quietly 3-0. Not that that really matters, but this whole dynamic has changed in that division. You got the Skins getting no loving. All right, you got Dallas still with high expectations. The Giants, who were so underachieving in preseason, it's amazing they're still favored to win the division. But all will be revealed, as Duke used to say, my father. And with that being said, Pete, I can't wait for kickoff, baby.
Just to add one final note, I do think actually that Philly's getting a little bit disrespected.
Yeah.
I think that Chip Kelly not being there is going to help the defense. Defense is going to be significantly improved with Philly, so I might be looking to bet on Philly.
It's kind of like Cleveland now. All that shit's out. Oh yeah.
I think they're getting a little bit disrespected. All right, Mike Brenner, nice breakdown on the impact of the Tony Romo injury. We of course will be back with our analysis of Dallas's Week 1 game.
We will, but guess what, Pete? Week 1, that means let's get real, let's make some money, and to do that, you better load up that toolbox. And part of that toolbox is Sportsbook Review Guide. All right, you guys, it's time. It's time to literally search and open up new accounts. Do the line shop and do yourself a favor. Get the best bonuses available. Sign up through SBR. Tell your friends about this too, because I'm not kidding you. You can make money before the kickoff even starts.
Sounds good. And moving along to the third segment of the Odds Couple Sports Betting Show for Monday, August 29th this is our first official Odds Couple show of the football season, where we are going to be giving official picks and tracking them. Now, Mike Brenner, right now, my record is 0-0. Your record is 0-0. Those aren't great records, but they're not that bad.
That's right. We're undefeated.
Not that embarrassing. Now, you might want to just not give any picks the whole season.
Hey, it's safe.
And then, at the end of the year.
That's for pussies, Pistol Pete. And there ain't none of them in this room, baby. Listen, trust me, I'm fired up.
A record of 0-0 isn't going to blow anyone away, but it's also not going to embarrass you too much. So we're going to start giving picks. We're going to track them. We'll track them the same way, even though they're ATS. You can take money lines.
That's
you can buy points, but you have to name the book. And of course, line shopping is essential. So sometimes if you take like +3, you're going to get -115 or -112 or -108. So we will be doing line shopping. I will print out my odds here from SBRodds.com.
I like that. I got to mention this real quick because, guys, what we do, viewers, is we make ourselves accountable. All right, that's why we have the records. There's no one else in this industry that is just as transparent as we are. Are we the best in the business? Hell no. Are we special? Hell no. But you know what? We give our all every single day. We're good at what we do, we feel, and we prove it because numbers numbers don't lie. So with that being said, I'm ready to rock and roll
All right,
and knock
sounds
it down,
good.
baby.
With that being said, let me get my paper. I threw my.
Okay, that's all right. Pistol Pete, jump back up
all
there.
right, so
God, that's the quickest I've seen you move in a
what
long
we're doing
time.
right now is we are going to do just the Thursday college football games, and tomorrow we'll cover the Friday
weekend,
and the Saturday games. Right now, just the Thursday games. All right, Mike Renner, I got the odds right here, and
this is the appetizers because
here
the
we go.
entrees this weekend.
Well, we got 7 games, on Thursday, and there's a couple of picks I'm definitely liking.
Wow.
There's a couple of games that we've discussed that we already have given opinions on. I'll start with the first one. I'll just give one pick right out of the box. No, I don't. I'm not sure you do. It's going to be the under in Tulane and Wake Forest.
Ooh,
now,
okay.
I previewed this game already with Jeff from BMOCWins.com. I gave the opinion that we basically both analyzed the game the same way. Tulane is going to have no offense, or at least on paper, it looks like they're going to have no offense. They've got a guy coming in who's the new coach who's coming from Georgia Southern, who's going to employ a run-heavy offense. The quarterback left, the receiver. They have no receivers anyway, even if they had a passing game. So it's just they're just probably not going to have much on offense here. And Wake Forest, their strength is on defense anyway. So he liked Wake Forest at -17. I like the under at 43, but we both agreed that we're anticipating like a 26-0, 31-3 type game. So the under hasn't moved yet. I definitely bet this one a healthy amount, and I will take it at under 43.
And this is official, right?
Yeah. Oh, these are all official.
Pulling that trigger, baby. Here we go. It's football time. God, I love it.
All right. So
let me ask you this, because obviously Tulane's got a really good head coach if he's coming from Georgia Southern. I'm not kidding you, but that's going to take a little bit of time to put that together. Yeah. So I like your breakdown there. When you're facing a squad, even though the Wake Forest is not the cream of the crop, bottom line, they're a team, an institution that's been clicking every year, no matter what. So wow, is that at Wake Forest, Pistol Pete?
Yeah, it's at Wake Forest.
And the game is only -17?
Yep, it's -17.
Is that a head scratcher?
Yeah, well, it's a low total and a pretty high
I'm going to take a shot, Pistol Pete. I'm going to do a first half.
No, be careful, though. Be careful.
Oh, I am. I'm going to do Wake. Well, what do you think? First half.
You don't want to get into an abyss. You don't want to know. The first half is available.
You know what? I'm climbing out of that abyss. If I want to, tell me how many times you made a decision and went, you know what, I'm going to put that out there because it just makes sense.
Well, yeah, but they were,
because we don't have time to research every single game.
That's absolutely right.
You just put some facts out there that if I was studying on the computer or whatever, it doesn't matter where you get your info from.
And you're also going with the same pick that Jeff from BMOCWins.com recommended.
For real, you brought it to light. I have not dug into that.
Well, the first half line, you could wait for the Pinnacle, or you could take the Heritage line, which would be -9.5, -115 right now.
Okay, I'm taking the 9.5. I'm going to take Wake Forest on the first half, my first college football pick, -9.5 because
-115. You don't want to wait for the Pinnacle line, or it could go up.
That's going to go up. I think it is. I'm going to take that 9.5 because we might go in there up by 10, baby.
All right, sounds good, Mike Brenner. All right, let's see. Is there any other game that you want to give officially here?
Actually, nope. There's one I'm thinking, and it might. It's Tennessee.
By all means,
Tennessee is at home. Guess what though? This
man.
Appalachian State is nothing to laugh at. This is a decent team. All right, but I just think Tennessee's too deep. Right now, what would be the first half in Tennessee?
First half, again, you could wait for the Pinnacle opener, or you could take the Heritage line, which would be -11, -110.
Oh, my God. And I'm not. Ooh.
See, here's the thing last year. Now, I'm not trying to talk you into this.
No, you're not. You're not.
But last year, Tennessee was in a very similar situation in their first week. They were playing another,
and what happened?
Expectations are high for Appalachian State this year. Bowling Green, expectations were very high. Tennessee was a 21.5-point favorite. They blew them out by 29. After that game, Bowling Green went on to go 10-2 against the spread over their next 13 games.
Cow.
But they still couldn't cover against Tennessee. And Tennessee then 2 weeks after that blew out an FCS opponent, 41-10 51-10, something like that. They covered a 30. So the point is they cover these early,
You think that's the Butch Jones factor? I'm not kidding you, because this guy's really, this is his team now.
And last year, Appalachian State also had a similar game on the road at Clemson. They were an 18.5-point dog, and they got blown out 41-10.
Yeah.
So, line has gone down, but it's real tempting. It's real tempting.
That is,
Tennessee
Pete.
here,
Oh, my God, yeah.
I'm not going to do it, but
I'm not
tempting.
either. I'm going to hold back, but I'm going to tell you, on a lean, 9.5, 11.
On the first half, yep, and the full game is 20.
Tennessee's going to be okay.
There you go. Why don't I start before you pull the trigger on it? Let me go to my second play.
How about them Cowboys?
Second play is going to be South Carolina and Vanderbilt on the under. Now, I actually don't have the totals here.
Though, didn't you?
South they played last year. It went to 29. A very low scoring game. We know what Vanderbilt can do to these teams. Last year they played Western Kentucky, and it went to in week 1 went to 26. And South Carolina, obviously, Muschamp's going to be there. I think the offenses for both teams are going to be significantly behind the defenses, even though Vanderbilt's offense will be improved this year. There's still nothing special. South Carolina should be much improved on the front seven from the get-go, and it's cutting it close because last year Vanderbilt had games against a game against Georgia that went to 45. Then they had a game against Ole Miss that went to 43. So the total of 42.5 is cutting it close. But I'm willing to take it. I agonized about this one. I was like, this is a no balls play. But
I'm going to try to ease your agony, Pistol Pete.
I'm going to take under 42.5
with my little insight. And again, it's just a little insight.
Yeah.
I think you might be onto something. And here's the reason being: you got a coach coming in now, Muschamp. Right?
Yeah.
He knows he's lucky as hell to have a second chance to coach in the SEC. He's not going to come in firing all cylinders, just turning the damn stable loose, right? He's going to be conservative because he knows I got to make this situation work. This opportunity, I got to make it work. That starts with how you play in week 1. All right, I mean it. I think that team, it's going to be low scoring for a minute. Good breakdown, Pistol.
Absolutely. And then there's another game that we discussed early on that kind of went our way. I said that Oregon State and Minnesota. Sorry, we said that we both liked Oregon. The line, though, moved from 10 to 13, which is kind of concerning. I also said that I like the over at 51.5. It's now up to 56. So, and I did bet that opener when it was early on. So I bet the over on that one at 56. I'm not sure if I like it, and I think I still like Oregon State at plus 13. But the line move concerns me, and I'm not going to give it as a pick here, but definitely give it as a lean. And I'm going to look into why that line moved. I think it's and also, Minnesota, they have 2 sophomore running backs who were, spun. One of them's injured, right? Yeah. And so, the Leidner lost his top receiver from last year, and Oregon State has the transfer from Utah State. They're deep at wide receiver. I don't know.
We broke this down before, and the running back situation at Minnesota, the sophomores, that's what really made me feel really good about it. Pete, I'm not kidding. Again, we don't talk before we do this. All right. When I saw that line movement, I had to pull that emergency brake like it was nobody's business. What the hell's going on? Now, I tried to look into why. All right, didn't have enough time and did not see anything on the surface. Now, I'm going to go deeper too because I still may put some units on it, but I'm not going to put it out there as an official pick. It's just a little too risky for me right now. And I'm just not that underdog specialist.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Well, I bet Oregon State. I would definitely lean that. But as far as my 2 official picks, just going to be Tulane, Wake Forest under, and South Carolina, Vanderbilt under. And for you, you're just going to have 1 official pick here, huh?
Yes, Wake Forest my first college football pick, minus 9.5, baby. This is the college football odds couple show.
I guess that wraps it up for day 1. Hopefully, I'll be at least 1-1 by the time.
Hey, but it's not wrapping it up for some people that have conflict resolution when it comes time to getting paid out from a sports book. Tell them about that, Pistol.
Conflict resolution is one of the services that SBR offers. They do it for free. If you have an issue with a sports book, no guarantees, of course, but it is free. SBR will look at it and try to resolve things, as much as they can. So if you have an argument with the book, you can send you click on you can file a complaint at SBR. There's a link to it at the front page, and they will handle it as soon as they can, and it's all free.
Absolutely.
Conflict resolution, one of the free things that SBR offers in addition to everything else.
Yep, and it's effective. The Better Business Bureau of this industry, so take advantage of it. It's a free tool.
If you like Captain American football, there's 50,000 dead presidents on the line in this year's Bait the Prick contest. In case you ain't fucking guessed, I'm the prick. Click on the link below for more info. I'm ready to stomp some ass. This is going to be my best performance yet. So join today. It's free, you fucking squares.